Welcome to this new Flight Simulator update movie. It's finally here after, I would say, a lot of delay. The sim update number 15 has been released. So now you're finally able to use new content. And that new content is the Microsoft Flight Simulator is now available to play with the touch and gyro controls on the Xbox Cloud Gaming. So if you play using Xbox Cloud, then you can use that. So that's really cool. But probably the thing which you've been waiting for the most longest, and probably I would say I've seen a lot of videos about, is the Airbus A320neo V2 created by Builds. So now you can finally use the new A320, which is, I would say, magnificent and a huge improvement compared to the default A320, and enjoy all those things nicely. A small disclaimer on the top, as always, is that if you install this update and if you're experiencing issues, then consider to clean the community folder, move it, rename it, for example, and then try to see if it's, say, stable again, because in some cases, community add-ons can cause issues. So what has been fixed? Well, a lot, right? So in, I would say, are already a lot of videos I discussed about, okay, what's changed are there. So we're going to go pretty quickly to this one. And if you want to get some more details, then you can look at the previous videos I recorded about this sim update. So the most important thing is that they have added a lot of performance improvement, right? That means that they improved the frames per second, particularly where the frames per second was low. So that also is, you can see it in the sim, right? If you're playing it, the frames per second is indeed improved. How much has been improved is always difficult to say, but during playing, I saw some improvements. Also, if you play for a longer time, right, doing longer flights, it remains stable, which was not always the case in the past. Then they also reduced the loading times. I'm not 100% sure if I agree with that, because I still think it takes sometimes too long before Flight Simulator loads. Keep in mind that after sim update number 15, it could be that it loads a little bit longer, but that has to do with some recompiling which needs to be done in some cases. But after you've done that, you should see some improvements, although it's pretty hard to measure. Then if we look at the various crashes across the title, they continue to work on making the platform more stable. Alright, so they made a change for the Xbox in sim update number 15, which will reallocate memory before a crash occurs due to the sim running out of memory. On the Xbox, it means that you may temporarily encounter reduced level of visual world detail to prevent a crash until memory has been recovered. So keep that in mind, that although they say that the frames per second is improved here, it could be that if you're playing it on the Xbox, that you will see some, let's say, decreased, I would say, graphic details due to that memory being flushed. They tested it also in the beta, and there were definitely some improvements for that. Then if we look at the other one, it's the frames per second display memory usage. Now displays allocated virtual memory rather than the used physical memory pages. This is, I would say, specifically for developers, right? You can enable a tool where you can really see the stability of the or the resource being used, in the simulator, and that has now been changed. So not really, you would say, for end users normally. Then the content manager, they prevented the content manager from loading while the player was offline. They fixed an issue with that. And then if we continue the list, we will find the navigation and the traffic items. Here they made several improvements, right? So they made some fixes to the navigator packages, which were not loaded correctly. But also the most irritating one was the one where you lost the audio of the ATC instructions and other aircraft communications. This is pretty stable now. I tested it a lot because I was experiencing this issue also a lot. And I didn't experience the issue anymore, also not with the latest build. Then they made several improvements, right? The use of available flight-aware data to feed the live traffic in the sim, as well as the maximum number of aircraft visible in free flight. They also increased that. So if you're having a very good and strong machine with, I would say, probably a very good CPU, very good graphic card, a lot of memory, then you can now bump up the number of flights even with more, which could be cool. Then the spawn condition, right? That's where you, I would say, where you start the flight of the aircraft traffic planes, of the air traffic planes, to increase the live traffic at the airports. So more aircrafts at the airport. Again, here it is. Okay, keep in mind that will have a, let's say, performance impact. So you need to make sure that you're having, let's say, a very strong machine to handle this, as well as the AI behavior of live traffic planes on and around the airports. They made several improvements. So a lot of improvements for the navigation and traffic, besides, of course, the performance enhancements. But this could have an impact on your resource which are available. So if you're having, I would say, not a top machine, right, from hardware perspective, then you might need to say stay with the lower values which are there. If you've got a machine which easily could handle it, then you can now bump up those values. Then the weather, they moved the ice water threshold up from 27 centimeters to 72 centimeters in order to limit the amount of wrongly frozen water in the world. And that was especially visible in the Swiss lakes as well as the Norwegian fjords, and that's something they fixed. Then two activities which were fixed. One was the ILS training. Then the CDI and the course info are now both displaying the correct heading, as well as the fixed the bush trip and live event achievements. Correct achievements are Fire and Ice, Anemoy, Gold Rush, and Decathlon. So that's now being fixed. Then, continuing with the list, we will find a lot of things. I will not go to all of them, but they made several enhancements to a lot of glass cockpits, which include the Garmin G3000 and G5000. But probably more interesting is the Garmin G3X Touch, because this one is completely new. If you want to have more information about this one and also see some videos about it, then have a look at my channel. I will post some links in the description of this video where you can have a look at it. So a lot of fixes, as you can see, right, with the multiple displays. There's, I would say, not a lot of new functionality for the G3000 and 5000. For the G3X Touch, that was a comprehensive visual overhaul of the avionics completely. So that's cool. Then the G1000 NXI, they also have fixed a lot on that. And if you compare several of those lists, you will see that there's, let's say, always some similar fixes in both of them for the G3000 and 5000 as well as for the G1000, as well as also for the Garmin GNS 430W and 530W. If you would look at this list, you will see a lot of improvements. So really cool that they changed this for those aircrafts. Then as last, the WT21, also several fixes. Also added the plugin system to allow third-party developers to customize and extend the functionality of the WT21. And they removed some CG4 specific code, which was used also for this one. Completely different aircraft, but hey, they fixed it. Then small aircraft fix for the tooltip. And then we're gonna continue with the general ones, where this one is probably the most important one. They added the multi-rotor support for helicopters, such as for the Chinook. So you can now use it, and you could, if you already have it, right, because you might have bought it already, then you can now fly the Chinook with the full support of the multi-rotors. So that's really cool. Other than that, performance of glass cockpits, heavy planes like the Boeing 747. They made some changes to the stack, which was used below, which is in this case a coherent GS stack. And the initial work on improving plane and livery model matching for live traffic aircraft. That's what they mentioned already a while ago, that they would say make that more accurate, right? Where you really see, okay, hey, if an aircraft is a Boeing 747, then it really is shown as a Boeing 747, as well as matching livery. That's all. I say they start some work with that, and we likely would see some enhancements in the coming updates. Although, as we all know, this is, I would say, one of the last sim updates for now. The next sim update is planned for somewhere next year, which is pretty interesting. Then they also made some changes to the ground collisions as well as the ground contacts, and they fixed an issue for the P-51 Mustangs, right? Helicopter, as already mentioned, the multi-engine support, and you can see that the multi-engine support also has some more information, as well as the bind governor switches and engines for the multi-engine helicopters. Then the Boeing A310-300, sorry, I want to speak a little bit too fast. They made some fixes, both for the outer throttle, few gouges, large pitch oscillation when paused, as well as some audio fixes and some, I would say, translation fixes. Boeing 747 and 747, multiple fixes in the auto throttle system, the NDs, the systems, specifically for the 787 and 747. 747 wins this time. Some tweaks and enhancements which will make, I would say, the aircraft more reliable and I would say more realistic. The Gumbo Kabe G2, also an issue which was fixed, which where you could not start the engine. And then with that, we're already at the Cessna citation longitude, where they added some support for the following tools A alerts. So some new functionality for the Cessna citation longitude, which is really cool. The Cirrus SR22T, some fixes as well as some corrections, and they added a new ground handling parameters, which likely can be used by third-party developers, and they adjusted the engine parameters also. Then the Cup Crafters updated the avionics. That specifically is for the G3X Touch, as well as the Cup Crafters X Cup, that also the G3X Touch. The DRTBM also received the tools alerts, only in this case the tools B alerts, the PDA, EDR, and NCR, and they made some changes to the autopilot functionality. Then the House Artrites Ornithopter, they fixed the landing gear initialization as well as they fixed the bug with the animation of the landing gear. So that's good. So now it's would say works correctly. I was looking sometimes a little bit weird. Then the GMB, again, G3X Touch and a small other fix. The Pilates PC6, they have added a lot of new things, or a lot of two things. The force camera entries and the AI sound XML, but they also made some changes to the aircraft. A lot of fixes, as you can see, including the camera upper view clipping to the ceiling, the fuel pressure reading, the rudder pedal animation, and a lot of other cool stuff. Then the world itself, it also received some updates. They fixed the missing aerials and random crashes when multiple packages cover the same zone, as well as they reworked the rendering of the world tiles to avoid graphical glitches under DX12, and that stands for DirectX number 12. If you're using it, they could have encountered this, but that should be resolved. Then they fixed several launch airports, and the launch airports are simply those airports which were available already at the launch of Flight Simulator. In the standard edition, they made several changes. I'm not going to go to the full list, but you can see that they really spent some time on this. For the deluxe version, which includes some more airports, they also made some changes. And as well as for the premium edition, they also made multiple changes for those airports. So a lot of good stuff. Then the peripherals, they added some support for some new devices like the flight deck from Turtle Beach, as well as the Virtual Fly Yoko Neo and the TQ Neo, as well as they added the new controls, of course, for the twin engine helicopters. And with that, we're, I'd say, almost down at the list, right? The rest of them are, I'd say, mostly developer fixes, so you won't, I would say, won't, well, you as a normal flight sim user will likely not benefit a lot from it. Well, maybe you do, because if the developers can use this functionality, then it's just a matter of time before you can use those nice new benefits. Also the WASM, right, which is the module which was causing some issues in the latest builds, that has now been fixed. So really good that they fixed it, luckily, because else we might have waited on again a little bit longer on sim update number 15. And with that, we're at the end of this video. We discussed sim update number 15, which is bumping up the Flight Simulator version to version 1.37.18.0. So really cool. Besides that, keep in mind that next week there's already some other cool stuff, right? So if we look shortly at the development update, and if we look at the development update, we're currently in this week. But next week, it's already time for city update number 7, which is focusing on the Europe cities number 2, as well as the new local legends number 16, the short Skyvan will be released. That's just 5 days from now. So keep an eye on the flight sim, because you will likely see some new stuff. And if you thought we were ready, well, not yet, because in the first week of June, they will release the famous flyer number 10, and that's to be decided. So let's see how that will go. And then later in June, they will again release a city update, in this case number 8, with the local legends number 17. And then we're almost at the summer period. But as you can see, they don't stop developing. They continue developing because another city update is there, another local legend, as well as a new world update and another local legend. So enough fun until, I'd say, almost the end of August or the end of July. Sorry, the end of July, which is really cool. And then once July has been gone, we're getting an update for the roadmap. So really cool to see that they continue developing Flight Simulator. And also, we're pretty, I would say, everybody's waiting for the big announcement, right? When will Flight Simulator 2024 be released? That still is unknown. But if you keep following this channel by subscribing to my channel, then you will be the first one to know. Here ends this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.